Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady, where I help home business owners win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish. And when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the home business community. And today, I specifically want to talk about tax fraud, okay? And I really want to, I think I've been having a lot of real talk conversations this week. It's just been one of those kinds of weeks. But one of the things that I definitely want to share with you is for you to not get comfortable with tax fraud. And I think because so many people get used to doing the wrong things so much that they think it's harmless, or they possibly even think it's the right thing to do. So let's start with the definition of tax fraud. I have it up here on my other screen. Tax fraud occurs when an individual or business entity willfully and intentionally falsifies information on a tax return in order to limit the amount of tax liability. Tax fraud essentially entails cheating on a tax return in an attempt to avoid paying the entire tax obligation. That is the definition of tax fraud. So when you submit, charitable donation receipts that are blank, and then you expect the tax professional to just fill in some stuff for you, that's tax fraud. When you have charitable donations that you did not make, I had someone reach out to me, a client came in that had like 12 or 13 receipts that were blank, right? And I said, okay, well, if they're not filled out, the donations didn't happen, right? So, so this person was telling me that these folks just came up with some stuff. Okay, that is tax fraud. When you claim business expenses for a business that you don't have, that is tax fraud. If you have a business and you inflate expenses, that is tax fraud. There are people who create income in order to, to secure a mortgage or something. They claim this additional income on their tax returns in order to secure funding for a mortgage. That's tax fraud, right? And then especially if you do that, if you inflate your income in order to secure a mortgage, and then you go back and you try to amend that return, then not only have you committed tax fraud, then you commit mortgage fraud, okay? And I think what happens is that we get so used to people doing these things that we think it's okay. And it's not. It really is not. People always ask me, well, what are the odds of me getting audited? Now, what it puts me in the mind of is when I was young, in high school and whatnot, doing some dirt, the conversation that I would have with myself is this going to be worth the beating I'm going to get if I get caught? And if it wasn't going to be worth the beating, I wasn't doing it, right? It wasn't what are the odds of me getting caught, is it going to be worth the beating? So the question I have for you is this worth the punishment that you are going to receive, right? If you get audited. I tell people all the time, if you would treat your tax returns like you were going to get audited tomorrow, what would you do? Would you claim these expenses if you knew you were going to get audited tomorrow? Would you claim these donations if you knew you were going to get audited tomorrow? Because see, when the IRS goes to audit, they audit everything, right? They go and check for these donations. They go and check for, these contributions. Like I even had, someone say, okay, well, I just use 10% of their income as cash donations to their church. If they don't have a statement from their church, then that didn't happen. We don't have no statements. We don't have no canceled checks or anything like that. That didn't happen. And especially for my tax professionals, you have to be especially careful, because what happens? That taxpayer gets audited. The first person they're going to throw under the bus is you. And you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth your professionalism, your career? If you are a full-time tax professional, even a part-time tax professional, is it worth your career for you to do some fraudulent stuff for somebody to get a couple extra $100? Is it really worth it? Right? So you have to understand that, lying on your tax return really is not a harmless thing. It's harmless as long as you don't get caught. But when you get caught though, claiming dependents that are not yours, tax fraud. Because see, when you claim dependents that aren't yours, then you're getting money that does not belong to you, therefore reducing your tax liability so you don't have to pay the whole bill. That is fraud, and it is illegal. And also, I remind you, when you sign your tax return, you sign under penalty of perjury that everything is true and correct to the best of your knowledge. If you're sitting up there lying on your tax return, you are committing a felony. Yes, perjury is a felony, right? And if you continually do it year after year after year, that helps the IRS build a case against you for tax fraud, for which you can go to prison. Is it worth it? Is lying on your tax return worth the possibility of prison? I ain't the one. I am not the one. And for my tax professionals, if you continually file fraudulent returns, you will eventually get caught, and you will pay the price by getting your business shut down and going to jail, and also having to pay back the money that you helped steal from the government. So that's what I'm saying. Let's not get comfortable with tax fraud. Just throwing in a little number here and there. Yeah, it's fraud. You might not think that, it's such a big deal, but the fact is, the bottom line is, if you willfully and intentionally put something on your tax return that does not belong to you, or doesn't belong there, or if you do that, that's fraud. It's like I put up this post yesterday, you guys. Somebody seriously reached out to me to ask if I would create a 1099 miscellaneous for them, showing a certain amount of income for them to secure funding for a business. I'm not going to file it anywhere. I just want to secure funding. Do you know a 1099 is a federal form? See, we don't really get the fact that these forms are federal forms. These are governmental forms. So when you go and create these forms, when you go create a 1098-T, you create a 1099, when you go and just create these forms out of thin air, you are committing fraud. These are government forms. It's not just random stuff. And I think because they're so common that people really don't understand the value, the weight of what they're doing. Like seriously, this is weight. When you, and just to give you how that could have gone so completely left. Okay. See, you create a 1099 miscellaneous for somebody, right? And they say, I'm not going to file it. The lie is you're not going to file it, because see, if you use that 1099 as supporting documentation to secure funding, the bank is going to go look for that money on your IRS transcript. Now, if they can't find where this 1099 miscellaneous has been reported, that's fraud. This is why I tell y'all see that whole, the post about creating an LLC for your kid and file taxes on it. Even if you file taxes on, a zero return on a business that does not exist, that is fraud. It's fraud. All of it's fraud. So I'm telling you, do not get comfortable with that, because it's a slippery slope. And even in this case of somebody with this phony 1099, If I had done that and then they get caught and they ask, where did you get this 1099? And then they're going to be coming to me because that would have been fraud and I could go to jail. What? No. You guys, because we live in a society now where integrity is for sale. And we have to get back to where it's not anymore, because that one time that you sell your integrity will be the one time you get caught doing it. Lying on your taxes is not the same as looking at somebody and, when the woman say, does this dress make me look fat? And you say no, right? That's not the same thing. Okay. We're talking about dealing with the federal government. And when they build a case against you, they win like 95% of the time, because it's very easy to prove tax fraud. You either filed the form or you didn't. You either fabricated the income or you didn't. And when it's in black and white, there's the proof. So if you're claiming false deductions, false tax credits, you need to stop, because it's not going to be worth the whipping if you get caught. Okay. It's just not, you're not going to be able to pay the price, because when you get tax credits that you are not entitled to, you're going to have to pay that money back. And 9 times out of 10, you will have already spent that money. And so now what? So now you have committed a crime, and now you can't pay the money back. It's a mess. Then you're going to have to pay some attorneys, which is going to cost you more money that you don't have to try and get you out this mess. Okay? So don't get comfortable lying on your taxes. I know it seems like everybody does it, but ask the percentage of people who've actually gotten caught, was it worth it? There are tax professionals sitting in jail right now for filing false returns, claiming false expenses on businesses that didn't exist, doing it over and over again just to get their clients these huge refunds. This is why I tell you, don't be sitting up there just because somebody says, okay, you go to Susie because Susie gets me all this money back. Susie might be filing false tax returns, and Susie about to get caught. So just don't do it. We see clients who walk away from good tax professionals all because they don't like the numbers because somebody else had a better result. Just because somebody has a better result doesn't mean that it's done correctly. And when that gets caught, you, the taxpayer, are going to have to pay the price. And if you are the tax professional that has done something fraudulent, you are going to have to pay a steeper price because you are the one who really knows better. Just like that whole, the college scandal where Lori Loughlin is getting hemmed up because she lied on her tax return. She said, all I have to do is say that I gave to your charitable donation. Yeah, they set her right up. Go read about it. Conspiracy to commit fraud. So don't get comfortable with it. Treat your tax returns like you are going to get audited tomorrow. If you have a question in your heart as whether or not you should do something, ask yourself, if I knew this tax return was going to get audited tomorrow, would I put this on my taxes? If the answer is no, then don't do it. All right. So thank you guys for tuning in to Home Biz Tax Talk. Again, we air Monday through Friday, 9:00-ish, and you can come right here to get your questions answered about your home business taxes. All right. Have a great day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.